guys, Luke Swanson from Living the Dream Guide Service. Today we are going to be tying a fly that I designed called the Pig Sticker. I designed this fly to do a few different things. One, I want it articulated, so there's 3 shanks in it, and the back 2 shanks are going to be 041 wire. The front is going to be 05. And I did that because you want more weight and density up front, along with more material and keeping the material lighter throughout the end of it. And we build a musky brush. Down in the description below you'll see a link to that. You can see how we build these brushes, but the middle shank and the front is going to be a lot of the brush, and you can build this fly super quick and super effective, and you can be building this size fly or bigger real quick with those brushes. In this front shank you'll see in the video that there is a loop built into it, and I built that loop to be able to hang a hook off of it. This fly is completely built on shanks, no hooks at all. And by hanging hooks, you get a lot better hookup percentage. We're actually using 2 different hooks on it. One hanging on the back, one hanging on that loop up front. The back hook, designed this fly for this hook specifically. It's an Eagle Claw 374 hook. And that hook actually has the beak of it pointed in towards the shank of the hook. And so by having that, when you strip set as hard as you can, that fly digs right in the corner of the mouth, just like a typical hook. But as a lot of us do, we trout set. In the time of the moment, everyone has done it, and with that beak turned in just a little bit, when you trout set, it's going to dig right to the corner of the mouth and get hooked right in the corner. It is an absolute incredible hook on how much percentage more hookups we are getting. And so with that hook, it's actually a treble hook. So we're cutting one of the hooks off and we're hanging it off the bottom of it. 2 hooks going down. So it's going to be hooking down right here off the back. We're split ringing it on to the shank. By having that, all the fish that we've seen on video that we've gotten, the fish come up, grab from the bottom, and they turn away. So now you got 2 hooks in there, and that Eagle Claw 374 is built into treble hook, so we cut one of them off. If you want to run a single hook, cut 2 of them off, but you're going to be so grateful you have that Eagle Claw 374 hook the next time you trout set. So, super excited to show you guys this. Alright, so we're going to start tying the pig sticker here. We're going to start out with an 1.5 inch shank, and we're using 210 thread. Just get this all wrapped in. You always want to put a coat of thread down on your shank or hook before you start. Cut that tag end off, and we're going to start off with some black bucktail. You want to get about the size of a pencil worth of deer hair. Pull out the tag ends. And we're gonna, the first 3 chunks we're gonna put on this shank are gonna go straight back. So tie this guy in first. Trim these tag ends off real quick. Alright, from here we're going to add some big fly fiber. So when you put the big fly fiber in, you're going to want it to be the longest part of your fly here. So you get that taper. So put that guy in. We're going to trim this up. Just readjust that a little bit. So you don't want to just leave it hanging off the back here. We're going to trim it. So you see you got the deer hair here. We're going to put it back here instead of just chopping it off. Instead of just chopping it off here, we're actually going to trim it up and stagger it up so it's all not the same. So you got a nice taper there. So then once you got the big fly fiber in, you're going to add some hackle. Just some simple, basic schlopping is what I like to use. You can use the barred saddle hackle, whatever your preference is. Tie that all in. Alright, so now from here we're going to add some flash and we're going to add it on top. And again, that's going to go all the way back to our red chunk of big fly fiber to keep that taper going. So we're going to add some black for starters. When I put Flashabou in, I don't want to just cut it and tie it in. I'm actually going to take parts of this and pull it up so it's all staggered. So it's not going to be the same when you stick it on there. Tie that in. Wrap it in. Awesome. So that's your first chunk, and I always throw some glue on it right away because you want this fly to be bulletproof. You don't want teeth getting in there, tearing up your thread, and breaking your fly apart. So we're going to give that a second to dry. Alright, so we gave that a second to dry. We're going to add another chunk of black deer hair. And so we put the longest chunk of deer hair in back. And now as you start going forward on the shank, you want it to go just a touch smaller and smaller to build that taper. You'll see that here in just a second. Pull out the tag ends. And again, we're going to just go straight back with it. Awesome. Clean it up. So from here, we're not going to add big fly fiber again. We're going to add 2 chunks or 2 saddle hackle right on there on each side. And at first I put them right on the side. Now I'm kind of going up at an angle from it. Trim those up. Tie them back in. Alright, now we're going to add some more Flashabou. We're going to do red this time. When I do Flashabou, I like to use 3, 4, maybe 5 strands, and as you do that all the way through, just a few each time, it'll become more Flashabou than you need. Cut it in half like that. We're going to go down the side. Tie it in on one side, flip it over, and once you tie it in, I like to spread it out a little bit. Make sure it's all over the fly instead of just one chunk of Flashabou. Make it look more fishy and lively in the water. Tie that in. Looking good. More glue. Alright, and then we're going to finish with one more chunk of deer hair. We're going to do red this time. And again, we're going to go straight back with it. This just keeps that taper of the tail instead of going straight up, and you have a gap right here. If you reverse tied it, you'd have a gap. So if you keep going straight back, you're not going to have a gap at this chunk of section of the back tail. So tie it in, spin it around. We'll trim up this tag end again. So from this, I like to add a little accent feather here, a little bit more flash. So we're going to move to some holographic black Flashabou. Couple strands again. Just lift a few of the strands up, tie it in on one side, put it in on the other, space them out. Then we're going to add a couple accent feathers. You don't need to do it, but it also looks really good. Little touches like this make a fly turn out really good. Looks good, you have confidence in it, and you end up fishing it really good and keeping it on the line and catching fish. Clean that up. That's your tail. So we're going to throw some glue on this bad boy, and we're going to move on to the next shank. Alright, so next shank is another 1.5 inch shank. Here's where the big flies like this become super quick. We're going to be putting a brush on this shank and the front shank. And if you haven't seen the video on how to build the brush, go below in the comments and you can see how we build this brush step by step. So, we've got our big musky brush right here. We're going to tie it in on one side. Tie it in nice and tight. You don't want it unraveling if some teeth get in there. And then we're going to put some glue on it again, because we're making this fly bulletproof. I want to catch multiple fish. 10-20 fish on one fly. So, glue is dried now, and we are going to take this musky brush and wrap it around. So you're going to wrap it once, and when you come around the second time, you're going to see deer hairs sticking out front here, and you're going to pull it back just like you would reverse tie and wrap forward again. And you're just going to keep slowly moving forward, and you'll see that you start getting that reversed bucktail look to it. Just wrap all the way forward. Once you get to this top shank, pull down on it and spin it so it is really tight on the shank. Take your bobbin, you're going to capture it. So once you got it captured and it's nice and tight, you're just going to cut that off there. So you got a little bit left here. Make sure it's nice and tight. And then you're going to reverse tie it. Just those back little pieces that were still sticking out. And there. You would have had to do 2-3 chunks of reverse tying and the gluing and waiting just to build that, and we did that super quick. When you build brushes like this, you build them consistent. Once you figure out how much brush you need in 12 inches and you know how much you want to put on a shank and you get it to swim right, then you can just build each fly and you know it's going to swim every single time. So we're going to clean up this front here. From here I'm going to add some Flashabou. I think we're going to do a little bit of black, a little bit of red. I like to do 2-3 different colors in each fly. Gives it a real realistic look to it. We're going to fold it in half here. Tie it in on one side, tie it in on the other. Once it's captured then, spread it out, make it even. There we go. We got half a musky fly done right there. Looking good. We're going to add just a touch of red flash. A couple strands. can add feathers right here if you'd like. I usually don't. I usually save it for the front half of it. So we're going to throw some glue on this and move to the next shank. And so here's what we got so far. And we're going to take this, set it aside, take the next shank out, and start building it. Alright, so we are on to the final shank. What's cool about this one is it has a loop built into the shank. I make these shanks myself, and you can check in the description below for the link on how to build these shanks. But this one is key. We're going to put a split ring off of this and hang a hook. So let's start building it. So we got this back part tied in. Once you get up to the loop that we've built, I kind of like to go around it to get that all tied in. Do it 15-20 times. We'll throw some glue on it so it's hard as rock. And we jump up to the front and put a steady wrap on. Alright, front shank is ready to go. We're going to reverse tie 2 chunks of bucktail before we get to this ring. So we're going to do some black bucktail. Take it out, get the tag ends out, and we're going to reverse tie. Like to spin it around. Make sure the deer hair is 360 degrees the same. If you have too much to one side consistently throughout the bucktail, it's going to swim to the same side or swim weird. But if you have it consistently the same all around, you just got to eyeball it, make sure it looks good. It's going to swim side to side, that walk the dog motion we're looking for in this fly. Beautiful. Got that in. We're going to add a little bit of Flashabou. Put it on one side. Move it over to the other side. And stagger it around. Again, throw some glue down on it. Then, a little chunk of red. Again, we're using about a pencil width. And as we keep moving forward throughout the fly, this front shank, you want to have more mass and density to it. That's what's going to help that fly drive and go side to side. So you're using about a pencil width in back, use a little bit more in the front. And that's going to help drive that fly to go side to side. So as we moved up through the fly, you want the back to be lighter and this front to be heavier. So we're going to use more of the brush here in a second, and you're going to use more deer hair. So that's all tied in. I'm going to throw a little bit of glue on top of that. On to the next chunk, one more chunk of deer hair. Reverse tie it again. Capture it. I like to let it spin around. Make sure it's 360 degrees, how we want it. Tie it in. It's incredible the action you get with this fly, with having so much more mass and density up front. That fly is just going to go side to side every time without walk the dog, and those predators look for that and key in on that, and as soon as that fly turns sideways, they're going to T-bone it and grab it. some red flash in now. Stagger it. Put it on one side. Tie it in on the other. There we go. Looking really, really good. So from here, we're going to tie in our brush that we were just using. Tie in the tag end that you had cut so it doesn't unravel on you. Tie that in nice and good. And put some glue down. We didn't glue the last chunk of deer hair because I wanted to glue this brush in at the same time. So we'll give it a second to dry. Alright, so we gave it a second to dry. We're going to move our thread forward, and just like the other one, we're going to start wrapping forward. So once you get to the front now, hold it in, capture that braid. Spin it around, make sure it's nice and tight. Wrap down on it again. There we go. Nice, beautiful taper throughout. Trim the braid off. Clean it up. That brush turned out wonderful. Beautiful. So now, we'll start by adding some more feathers. 2 feathers on each side. Tie it in on this side. Couple wraps. Go to the other side. Couple wraps. We'll just change up where they are. Make sure they're in the position you want. I like to put them straight off to the side for this front. There we go. So from here, we're going to add some more Flashabou. Take some black. Fold it in half again like you would. And tie it right in on the side. And I like to keep most of the Flashabou from the halfway point up and around the other halfway. So cut it in half. The top half you want Flashabou on. If you get it on the bottom half, it seems to get caught up in the hook and chewed up. So spread it around where you like. Tie her in. We're just going to throw a little bit of red in there then. A little red. Again, we're going to take it, stagger it, fold it in at the halfway mark. These flies turn out beautiful, they swim great, they're bulletproof. These brushes make building big flies really easy and really quick. Beautiful. So we're going to add some more glue. So we're going to do 2 more chunks of bucktail. We're going to start off with some red. When you put the red in here, you don't want it to be higher than anything else. You want a taper coming down that'll help it drive to go side to side and keep it more streamlined. So if I tied it in here, it's going to be a little bit long. So we're going to trim it up just a touch and then reverse tie it right in. Capture it, spin it around. Remember, you want to keep it 365 degrees the same to keep her swimming nice. So you're going to have to move it around a little bit, but push it back. Try to get as much deer hair as you can in right here. Keep that high density up in the front to help it swim. There we go. Nice, flowed right nice into it. Do the same thing. So flowed real nice into it. We're going to dab it with a little bit of glue. Give it a second to dry. So now we're going to add another chunk of deer hair. I'm going to reverse tie it one more time. Again, get that taper coming down. Trim it up just a little bit more. And tie it right in. Beautiful. Nice streamlined head. It's going to push a ton of water. It's going to make it dart side to side with how much weight and density we have up front. You got the accent feathers looking good there. All we have to do now, put a couple knots on her, put some glue on it, and there we go. So we put some glue on this. It's looking good. Taper looks good. So now we're going to connect this front to the back of the shank. So we got the front shank and we got the back shank. Split ring on that shank here. Got our split ring pliers. And we're going to split ring it right together here. And what this allows you to do is you are able to connect another 2-inch shank in between here, or you can connect a head, take this head off and connect a head that is going to have weight in it. And we do that a lot in the fall time, so we get that up and down motion. Or if you want a bigger fly in the fall time, add another 2-inch shank, or a 2-inch shank and another 2.5-inch shank. Now you got an 18-20-inch fly when you do that. But this fly looks great. Great taper coming in at the end there. Nice bullet head. This can push a lot of water, swim really nice, and catch a ton of fish. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, comment below, text, email me. You can reach me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, all that. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.